First and foremost, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It's appreciated. To get us started, I'm gonna have to read a bunch of stuff from this laptop computer. Bear with me on that one. It's just part of the deal. This is a huge project with a lot of moving parts, so we have to be really specific in our language and such because of legal things you'll understand. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the North Dakota Historical Society, and thank you for participating in the Faces of Fargo Project. This interaction is being recorded for the purposes of historical preservation. My name is Francine. You can call me Frankie. All of my friends call me Frankie. The Faces of Fargo Project is a one-of-a-kind endeavor to preserve the likenesses of current and former Fargo residents for future generations. The North Dakota Historical Society and the Fargo Science Collective have teamed up for this project, which includes both science and history. Using state-of-the-art technology, the Faces of Fargo Project will scan and record the faces of over 3,500 volunteers by the end of 2025. And you're one of those volunteers. How exciting. The data collected in this project will be saved using a variety of technological and physical methods and will be sealed and placed in an underground vault hidden among the vast plains of our state for future generations or alien species to discover. Okay, so I know that a lot of people that alien species line gives them pause. We are not recording this data for alien species. We are going to bury the data in a vault in the plains, and if it is future generations of North Dakota residents that stumble upon this time capsule, if you will, that's great. That was what we intended. But if it does happen to be alien species that stumble upon our desolate planet after we've destroyed it and find the data, so be it. We cannot control the future in that way. Okay, that's all that line is stating. All right, here we go. In addition to preserving the highly detailed likeness of its volunteers, the Faces of Fargo Project also aims to collect data about the daily lives of North Dakota residents. I now will read a disclaimer about the project and give you an opportunity to rescind your participation should you see fit. Okay, so yeah, basically what that means is I'm about to read you a disclaimer. If after that disclaimer you say, oh, I don't really want to be a part of this, that's fine. Just tell me and we'll end the session there. Okay, it does get kind of harder to back out the further we get into this. You're not trapped here. Of course you're not trapped. I would love if you would tell me right away, Okay. The Faces of Fargo Project will be collecting facial likenesses of participants by using advanced technological instruments, including but not limited to lasers. Our lasers are non-heat reactive, non-toxic, and do not cause harm to the human body. Our lasers have caused the following non-harmful involuntary responses in the past: giggles, a tingling sensation, a sense of calm, a sense of unease, a sense of existential dread, a sense of entitlement, burping, farting, cheekiness, satisfaction, and sleepiness. Faces of Fargo is not liable for any of the aforementioned side effects of the lasers. I can see that you look panicked. Lasers is just a word. They are not the kind of lasers that people use to like cut metal. They're lasers that are used to map your face. It's not as scary as it sounds. Okay. Continuing on with the disclaimer. The data in this project is being recorded solely for historical preservation. Faces of Fargo will take all reasonable measures to protect this data from corporations and foreign entities. However, in the unlikely case that a corporation or a foreign entity gains access to the system or systems of data storage at the North Dakota Historical Society, Faces of Fargo is not liable for any potential theft or damage of said data. I do want to remind you, Facebook's taking your data, TikTok's taking your data, everybody's taking your data. We are one of the only ones that is not going to go out right away and sell it. The only way that a foreign entity or company will get a hold of this data is if they breach our highly sophisticated system. So, I do want to say that. It is not in the disclaimer, but I think it's worth mentioning. Okay, here we go, keeping it on. There will be moments during the facial data collection that I or the practitioner responsible for the data collection, should that person differ from the person currently speaking. I am the one who does the data collection. I do the whole thing. Sometimes the practitioner isn't that great at reading, so they don't do the reading part. Somebody else does that. But I'm the practitioner, and I'm fairly competent at reading, I would say. So I get to do both parts. Lucky me. Okay, continuing on. There will be moments during the facial data collection that will necessitate my extremely close proximity to your face. If you are uncomfortable with my close proximity to your face, you may want to consider withdrawing from the Faces of Fargo project. Okay, continuing on. Participation in this project includes a brief interview. Answers provided in the interview are semi-confidential, and that they may only be discussed by myself or other practitioners in regards to Faces of Fargo, the project. Your answers will not be published and will be sealed with the rest of the data for future generations. You are not required to answer any of the interview questions in order to participate in the project, but you are required to listen to all questions in the order in which they have been provided to me. Okay, if you have no objection to the previous disclaimer and would like to participate in the Faces of Fargo project, say, I would like to participate. Okay, what's your question? Alright, so in terms of collecting this data on multiple different methods, what that means is we're going to draw your face on a piece of paper. We're going to print a 3D model of your face. We are going to have the digital data of your face and what it looks like from every single angle. That data will be on a drive that is hidden in the vault in the plains. But also, perhaps it's not just going to be the digital form of that information. It will be stored on as many different digital storage devices as we can fit in the vault. And then it will be replicated physically in case of a digital collapse across society. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, go ahead, say it. I would like to participate. Excellent. Let's move on. The bulk of the reading is over, I promise. I feel like I've been talking so much, just talking. Well, don't worry about that because I'm about to shut up. But for now, I am going to go over the procedure that we're about to go through. Alright? So, I will first thoroughly cleanse your face to make sure that that we have a smooth surface for the lasers to scan, and that we won't scan any dust or debris as facial features. Yeah, so that's exactly what it sounds like. I'll be cleaning your face with a little swab, some alcohol, and some other things, and just making sure that you don't have any, dust bunnies up in the crook of your nose or something that's going to register as a mole to the system. Okay, next. Second, I will record the coordinates of your face, and then I will be placing 14 stabilizers on your face. We call them calibration points. They feel like a sticker on your face. They calibrate the lasers. That's what they do. They calibrate the lasers. They stabilize the lasers as the lasers circulate on your facial features, mapping your facial features. So, okay. Third, I will set up the lasers in their scanning positions. They're not currently in their scanning positions. You haven't even seen the lasers yet. Okay. Fourth, I will initialize the scanners. That's not what that says. I will initiate the scanners. Initialize. I was laughing at myself. That's not a word, Frankie, you silly girl. Okay. Fourth, I will initiate the scanners. So the scanners are the lasers. The lasers are the scanners. They're one and the same. I'm going to turn on the lasers. All right. Fifth, I will conduct our interview while your features are being recorded. So that's something different. Our system works most effectively when the face is in action, which is why we conduct the interview portion of our data collection while our lasers are operating. So you will be just sitting there with these lasers pointed at your face. And I'll be asking you the questions. You don't have anything better to do, right? All right. Sixth, I will power down all of the lasers. Seventh, I'll remove all of the calibration points, those little stickers on your face. And then eighth, I will give you your concluding information, and we will end this session. And you will receive information about next steps with Faces of Fargo. How does that sound? Okay, excellent. Let's get going. I am now commencing step 1 of our procedure. I am cleansing the face of the participant. Now, what do you think of all this? It's kind of crazy, right? Yeah. Do you know George Grounder? Yeah, he's on the North Dakota Historical Society. This is all his idea, his brainchild, I guess. He's somebody that doesn't really trust big technology, big corporations, Google, Google especially, he doesn't trust to preserve the data about North Dakota citizens. So he took on this project, and we're using the lasers and the robots to record the data about the faces. It's funny, George, he doesn't trust robots unless they're his own robots. Yeah. He tried to pick like a big array of faces, a lot of different North Dakota faces. He tried to represent with this project. He did a good job of that. I think he's very aware, that European Americans are not the people who are native to the land of North Dakota. So, and he's hypersensitive about that because he's 1/16 Native American. So he really made great efforts to include a lot of Native American people in the study. It's not a study though, it's a project. Because we're not using any of this data. That was the main point of it, is that this data will not be published. Yeah. Everything we collect here is not going to be seen by human eyes until future generations stumble upon it in the plains. It's not going to be published, in the North Dakota Gazette. That's not going to happen with this stuff. We're keeping it locked down, protected. Okay. I am now adding the cleansing solution to the tip of a Q-tip to then apply on the participant's face. Sorry about all this, dictation stuff. It's all part of the project. It was Grant Gusman that came up with everything, though, in terms of how we would collect the data. He's the one with all the technology stuff. He's the main head honcho at the Fargo Science Collective. Grant Gusman. Grant Gusman and George Grounder. Whoa, G. That's a lot of G's. Let the record reflect that the face has been thoroughly cleansed and is now prepared for the, what are those things called? Calibration points application. There we go. Calibration point application will commence next. Okay, the application of the calibration points is now commencing. There are 14 calibration points total. 7 on each side of the face. The first calibration point will go on your cheek. The next calibration point will go on the other cheek. I would tell you if it's your left cheek or your right cheek or whatever, but I'm not good with left and right. I don't know what your left is compared to my left, All of that's always been a mystery to me. Okay. The next calibration point will be applied to your chin, to one of the sides of your chin, whether that be left or right. The fourth calibration point is now being applied to either the left or right side of the chin. That's a good question. It's not the taxpayers' dollars that are paying for this project, that's for sure. All I've been told is that the financier of this project is a wealthy, independent donor. So I don't know what that means exactly, Mr. Grounder and Mr. Gusman don't really share all that with me. Okay, the next calibration point will be going next to your mouth. Okay, there is a corresponding calibration point for the other side of your mouth. Okay. So you currently have 6 calibration points applied to the face. You're almost halfway done. This number 7 will be halfway done. And number 7 goes on one of the sides of your forehead, whether that be left or right. And number 8 goes on the other side. Okay, This ninth calibration point will be applied to your temple on one of the sides of your face. This calibration point will be applied to your other temple on another side of your face. Okay, we're at 10. Only 4 more calibration points. This calibration point will be going on your earlobe on this side of the face. This calibration point will be going on your other earlobe. And this calibration point goes on your eyebrow. And then the other calibration point, of course, goes on the other eyebrow. Okay. I am Frankie, and I have placed all of the calibration points on the participant. I will now be moving on to the next step of the project. As you can see, the lasers have now been applied to the wall. I will now commence initiating the lasers. Oh, come on. Initiating the lasers. They have been initiated, and we will now conduct our interview. In as specific of terms as possible, where were you born? Okay, so when they say as specific of terms as possible for that, they mean if you have the information on what the hospital was, if you have the information on what the hospital room was, if you have the information on the specific mattress that you were born on, I would like to know any and all information. Okay, great. I'm not going to write any of that down because this is being recorded. Also, being as specific as possible, when were you born? And by as specific as possible, they mean down to the second. If you have that information, of course, not everybody has access to that kind of information, but if you do, it's something that we wouldn't take for granted. Okay, I'm not going to write that down because I'm recording it, but thank you. Number 3, when you think of North Dakota, what are 3 adjectives that come to mind? I didn't write the questions. That's a noun. Okay, is this a refusal to answer? All right, I will be physically recording the refusal to answer, as it affects things. All right, there we go. Number 6. Oh, that's actually not number 6. This is number 5. This isn't number 5. This is number 4. Where was your mother born? Can you be as specific as possible? Yes, if you do know the bed that your mother was born on, we'd love to know exactly where that bed was. Okay. Where was your mother raised? Do you have the address of the home she was raised in? Not off the top of your head, okay. I'm gonna put a note in here and verbally contact for details about mother. Okay. Where was your father born? Okay. Do you happen to know where your father was raised? All right. I'll put a note in here and verbally as well. Contact for details about Father. How are you doing with the lasers? Are they hurting? Are they burning? Anything like that? Good, they're not supposed to. Okay. If your ancestors are not native to the land of North Dakota, what were their motivations for moving to and settling in the state of North Dakota? Oh, you don't know. Okay, I guess verbally I will make the note. The participant is unaware of their heritage. I'll put a note in there for a different practitioner to call you at some point and try to get that information when you have access to it. All right. What technological device would you say has the biggest impact on your daily life? I mean, that's a valid answer. A lot of people say phone. For me personally, I think it might be the refrigerator, just in terms of like, I cook a lot of cheesy things for the meals that we eat, and if I didn't have a refrigerator, I guess there'd be no leftovers, because cheese actually does develop bacteria rather easily, rather quickly. And I guess we'd either have food poisoning all the time, or we would just eat the cheese all at once. So I would say the refrigerator for that. All right. Do you think your face belongs in the year 2023? I know it's a weird question, and that's why it's clarified in the very next question. Have you ever been told that your face looks like it's from a previous era? In your opinion, when you look at yourself in the mirror, and based on what others have told you, do you think that your face is representative of a human being of 2023? Or do you think your face doesn't really align with the rest of 2023 humans? Again, I didn't write the questions, and it is required that I read them exactly as written. I understand that's a confusing question as far as whether or not I think that you have an old face, not in terms of wrinkles, but in terms of like when that face would have been relevant. I have no idea. I don't know what this question means, all right? And yeah, people have told me I have a Victorian face. What does that mean, you know? Like, I don't know what that means. They had toilets in the Victorian era. I wouldn't want to be told I had a medieval face, because that's like, okay, what do you think of me? All right. If you were to pick a physical symbol of North Dakota, what would you pick? This can include live physical symbols like the bison, yes. Okay, easy as that. I'm not recording it because this is recording it. Okay, just a couple more questions. Do you feel happiness on a regular basis? I didn't write these questions. Okay. Do you hold the state of North Dakota and the city of Fargo in high esteem? All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you wish you were never introduced to North Dakota, 10 being North Dakota is the best place that you've ever lived, how would you rank North Dakota? I guess I have to, not just the best place that you've ever lived for 10. 10 would be North Dakota is the best place to be on earth. 1 would be North Dakota is the worst place to be on earth. Where do you rank it? Okay. Please describe in 5 sentences or less your shopping habits. I don't know. I am a participant as well as a practitioner in this project, and when I answered this question, I said something along the lines of, I don't know, it had to be 5 sentences. Now that I read it back to you, it didn't have to be 5. It doesn't have to be 5. It only has to be 5 or less. Okay, that would have been good to realize in the moment, because I said something along the lines of, I shop at the grocery store. I buy groceries once a week. I don't do any regular shopping. I occasionally go wild in Joann's Fabrics. That's it. Yeah, so just say some sentences. Okay. What would you like future generations, and bear in mind this could be the distant future generations, in thousands and thousands of years, what would you want future generations to know about your life currently in North Dakota? I know it's kind of a big one. Take your time, answer it in your time. The lasers are still actively doing their work. Okay, what's a technology that you anticipate the future generations that find this data will have that we do not currently have? I don't know what this is for. I don't know. I guess maybe they're going to include a part in the data that says like, oh, this is what we think you guys are going to be doing. And then, they'll be able to be like, we're not doing this. I don't know. I guess that's the goal. Okay, finally, what does participation in the Faces of Fargo Project mean to you? I'm not typing it because it's recorded on here. Okay, you heard that. It's done. The interview is done and the lasers are done. I will now be removing the lasers. The lasers have been removed. I will now be removing the calibration points from your face. I switched in between talking to you and saying the participant in this recording. I don't know which one's right. If you think this was wordy, you should have heard our training. Oh my God. We were there for days. There were so many words. I picked up as much as I could, but my brain, it's not a sponge. It's more of a pumice stone. When I picture my brain, I think of those rocks that you use to scrub your feet. Yeah, it works, but not that well, So, as far as what happens next, the lasers should not still be going off now that they're removed. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. All right. In terms of next steps, just go home after this. These lasers can really tire you out. It doesn't feel like much, but it actually is kind of a lot on your body. So take a nap, get some good rest tonight, drink plenty of water. We will be contacting you to fill in some of those gaps in your interview about the details of your parents' history. We will also be sending you some information because this is the digital recording of your face, but we will later have a appointment set up for you where we will have a physical drawing done of your face. So we have hired artists from across the Dakotas to do these drawings. They're a very talented bunch of people. We are sending all of them photographs of the faces in our Faces of Fargo project, and we are having them choose which faces they want to draw. I don't know why we did it like that. I think it's just because we wanted them to choose the faces that they had the best ability to be able to draw. I have all of your calibration points on my fingers. Yeah, so we still need to get a drawing of you. We still need to get a sculpture made of you by hand, and we also still are looking for a oil portrait. So we have found the artists to do the pencil sketches. We have not found the sculpture artist yet, and we have not found the artists yet for the oil portraits. Now, this project is set to be entirely wrapped up in terms of the data collection portion of the project by 2025. So in terms of when we're going to be drawing your picture, when we're going to be painting your portrait, and when we're going to be sculpting you, that could be at any point between now and the end of 2025. So yeah, we are going to be getting around to all of that. I think I've covered most of the stuff. Okay. One thing is about this project is that it is semi-confidential. You are allowed to discuss this project and your participation in this project with people who are also involved in this project, but you are not allowed to discuss this project or your participation in this project with outside parties. However, there's nothing that we have you sign about that. That is more of an honor code type of thing. So if you were to discuss this project or the details of this project, Faces of Fargo, with anyone outside of the project, there wouldn't be any way for us to know that information. But, you know, it's honor code. Please don't do it. You know, that kind of thing. None of your information will be sold to foreign entities. We already went over that. Okay, yeah. That's everything we need from you today. We'll be in touch about further steps about the project. Make sure that you like and subscribe. That's the most important thing to get updates about what's coming next for you in terms of your participation in this project. If you haven't liked and subscribed, you're essentially not participating in this project, so please do that. That's very, very important. Goodbye, okay? Good night. Okay, you've got this. Good night.